Hello, welcome back to my channel. You're with Joanne. I hope you're doing well. Before we get into the lives, there'll be a live later tonight. But before that, I just wanted to share with you this. The WA Police Forensics officers are gathering evidence of possible break-in at Cleo Smith's family home in Carnarvon. So it's this case is taking on a horrible turn. So after a week, she's been missing for a week now. 4-year-old Cleo Smith disappeared. They've turned their attention to the family home. A forensic squad has been dusting the fence and windows of the Carnarvon home this morning. They've been seen taking photos. They said they're gathering evidence outside the property at this stage. It's understood they're investigating the possibility of a break-in. Now, there's no suggestion that Chloe's family is in any way associated with her disappearance. Children's play equipment, a toy hanging on the clothesline can be seen in the yard. The family had spent a week staying at the campsite where Cleo disappeared, but it is now understood they are now staying elsewhere. Police yesterday issued a plea for businesses, including bakeries and children's clothing stores, within 1,000 kilometres of where Cleo was last seen to provide CCTV and dash cam footage. The plea came as search around the campsite ended after police on horseback and officers on drones conducted the final search of the area. She's not there. Posters bearing Cleo's image have been plastered on store windows across the state, including in Perth. And, of course, there's the $1 million reward. So that's all we know at the moment. And then we've got here closed shops, bakeries across urged to help. So she disappeared. We don't know where she is. We don't know how. It's one of WA's largest search operations. She wouldn't look comfortable. She would be terrified. She would be scared, her mother said. The young girl has been missing without a trace for a week. Police are baffled, and her distraught parents have left crushed under the weight of questions. They remained unanswered. Where is she? Is she alive? Did someone snatch her? Why can't they find her? So Cleo Smith and her family are from a WA coastal town of Carnarvon, about 900 kilometres north of Perth, or about a 10-hour drive, situated where the Gascoyne River meets the Indian Ocean. The town of fewer than 5,000 people runs on mining, fishing, tourism, agricultural, known locally in WA for bananas. Carnarvon bananas are amazing. Alice Smith and her partner Jake Glidden grew up in the town and now live there with their 7-month-old daughter Isla and Cleo, Ali's 4-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. Like many people in West Australia's north, Mr. Glidden is employed by mining giant Rio Tinto, and she works at a beauty salon based at the local TAFE. Cleo attends a primary school locally at St Mary's Star of the Sea Catholic School. The family recently purchased a brand new tent, one big enough for their family of 4, with internal dividers to create a parents' room and children's room. Miss Smith had spent much of her childhood on camping trips with family. The Smith's destination of choice was just under an hour's drive north of the town of the Blowholes, probably 100 metres from where our tent was, is where we stayed at the same age. The couple had been excited to continue traditions and take their daughters to the Blowhole. It was their first camping trip since Isla was born. The weekend arrived. They set off, taking the main highway 20 minutes north of Carnarvon until they reached the turn-off of the Blowholes. It's a 50-kilometre stretch of road cutting straight through rugged coastal scrubland and salt flats to reach the coast. Along the road, there is a turn-off for salt mines and perhaps one other building. Otherwise, for the most part, there is nothing as far as the eye can see, except for dry, sun-baked coastal country, thick with low, hardy vegetation. So this is what it's like. Part of the road goes to a cattle station where vehicles are routinely interrupted by cattle on the road, or more regularly, kangaroos, rabbits, and emus. The Blowholes Road is the only sealed road in and out of the campsite. The stark landscape is interrupted by the final rise near the end of the road, where the deep blue Indian Ocean appears beyond a set of rugged red cliffs. The only landmark in sight is the wooden sign about 3 metres high warning King Waves Kills. Locals know this is no embellishment. Countless people have been washed off the cliff when the monster waves, which relentlessly pound the rock, rise up even higher and crash over the top with no warning. So at the sign, fishermen and surfers often turn right after letting air out of their tyres and take a dirt road to north to Quobba Station. Others continue left and wind their way around to the Blowholes campsite, which sits next to a beach offering some calmer waters. It features some basic permanent beach shacks, mainly busted corrugated steel structures, and some visitors' caravans and tents. So then we go back to the story about how it was 1:30 in the morning, about the zipper being undone. So they've got police and everyone searching. So that's just another example of the ocean. At some point in the day, a police roadblock was set. So, wait, I'm not going to go here. Other campers and locals began helping with the search using motorbikes, quad bikes, four-wheel drives. The police arrived and began their search efforts, which rapidly escalated as time went on. Now, the local police would have been from Carnarvon, and I don't know how many police officers would be there, but they would have had to have got other people. At some point in the day, a police roadblock was set up to prevent anyone leaving without having their vehicle searched. It was early in the piece. The police began working on two theories. She wandered off somehow on her own volition, or she was abducted. With no sign of the 4-year-old, the search became more urgent every hour. As word spread, volunteers flooded the area before regiments of SES volunteers and professional emergency service workers could take over. Fearing Cleo may have come to trouble in the ocean, a large-scale marine search was also launched. So they were searching the ocean. As the hours dragged on and daylight began to fade, many elements of the search continued into the night. Sunday morning arrived, and her concerns were intensifying. The terrain around the Blowholes campsite is quite flat, and few shrubs, if any, would reach more than a metre from the ground. But what the vegetation lacks in height makes up for in density, making the ground search more difficult. So that's a Australian Defence Force personnel having a look. A local helicopter company began flying lap after lap over the area to try and spot Cleo from above, crowdsourcing tens of thousands of dollars from concerned community members to fuel the choppers. By then, the search operation had expanded into one of the largest ever conducted in WA, Western Australia, with hundreds of personnel involved. The command centre had been established at the campsite with heavily equipped police vehicles providing officers with a virtual headquarters on the scene. News of the search began to gather pace. In Carnarvon, the missing girl was all anyone talked about as the community grew more and more worried. Efforts continued into Sunday night and still nothing. In town, members of the Carnarvon community held a prayer service. So that's an SES volunteer. By Monday, Carnarvon was awash with emergency vehicles, police patrol cars, four-wheel drives, SES vehicles and trucks. Hotels and motels were quickly booked out. The restaurants and pubs filled when searchers got a chance to have a meal and refuel their tired bodies. It was not long before police were confident they had done all they could to check the ocean for Cleo, and the marine search was scaled back. As time went on, police confirmed it was growing more likely the girl could have been abducted. Everyone known to have been at the campsite was interviewed, and it's understood they were asked to provide DNA samples. The tent was taken for a forensic examination, which commonly includes sampling for traces of DNA and fingerprints. The campsite remained closed, the whole area deemed a potential crime scene. Police have admitted they cannot definitely say they have identified every person who was there. The investigative side of the operation was looking into the potential abduction, gathered pace on Monday. Every registered sex offender in Carnarvon area was spoken to, with police collecting CCTV footage from petrol stations, referred to as roadhouses in northern Western Australia. So, or gas stations. I know you call them gas stations in some parts of the world. We call them petrol stations or a roadhouse. So, particularly in the middle of nowhere, you'll have a roadhouse, and a roadhouse will generally, you can fuel your vehicle. You can generally have a shower. And you can have something to eat, which is called, it's like a roadhouse, a house on the road. They also made an appeal to speak with anyone who'd been in the area on Friday or Saturday, particularly anyone who had recorded dashcam vision. With Blowholes Road being the only sealed road across the campsite, it was hoped someone captured footage about a potential abductor's vehicle. Cleo's biological father was interviewed by police in Mandurah, more than 1,000 kilometres south of the campsite. It is understood that interview was routine to help police gather a more complete profile of Cleo. In no way is there any suggestion he was involved in her disappearance. So he was a long way away. Meanwhile, back in Carnarvon, local businesses began printing posters featuring Cleo's picture and details of what she was wearing. Soon enough, there was a poster plastered on every shop front in town. But by Monday night, bad weather was on the way, with powerful storm hitting the coast early on Tuesday morning, bringing torrential rainfall, battering winds which persisted until late morning. So that's the wild weather. Despite fears Cleo could have still been out in the elements, the conditions were so challenging that police were forced to suspend the search for several hours. In Carnarvon, the water looked like a tropical cyclone was approaching, with branches and debris scattered throughout the town. Meanwhile, out by the blowholes area, the rain was coming in sideways, and the air was filled with sea spray from the monster swells, then sending giant waves crashing into the cliffs. By about midday, the winds had eased, the sun returned, so the search resumed. The police mounted division had arrived, and several officers on horseback got working scouring some of the harder-to-access dunes. They were joined by members of the Australian Defence Force looking above with specialist drones. The owners of shacks in the area began arriving at the roadblock one by one, answering a request from police to drop off their keys so their shacks could be searched. Police had been making appeals through the media since that day, and by Tuesday the level of public interest in the search was growing. Detectives decided it was time for Miss Smith and Mr. Glidden to make a public appeal to help find their daughter. They sat down for an interview with the ABC at the police command centre at the campsite. They had remained there since the search began, clinging to the hope Cleo would be found somewhere nearby. Speaking publicly for the first time since Cleo was missing, they made their emotional plea. Their voices quivering at the pain, not knowing what more they could do. Guess the worst part is we can't do anything more, and it's out of our hands. We just feel so helpless and out of control. Everyone asks us what we need. What do we need? Really, we need our little girl home. She's beautiful. She's delicate. She has the biggest heart. She's just so funny. She loves rocks, collects rocks, loves makeup, dressing up every day. She wants to wear a princess dress. They also explained how she was not the type to wander off. Always stuck close to their sides. She loved the beach but terrified of the ocean. Mr. Glidden explained how they jokingly referred to her as lazy because she would rarely walk far out without wanting to be in the pram or carried. The couple believes someone has taken her, and Miss Smith that has led to a million different thoughts of what could have happened. By Wednesday, the enormous search was continuing fruitlessly out by the campsite in Carnarvon as bumper stickers were created alongside the posters. People around the world began to take interest in the mystery. Journalists had been there all week, and now from the remote, isolated roadblock outside the campsite, they were fielding requests from networks across the ditch in New Zealand, as far afield as the United States and Britain. Police agencies around the world were also offering expertise. On Wednesday afternoon, police made it clear the likelihood that Cleo had been abducted was becoming stronger. The positioning of the tent's zip was a serious cause of concern. By Thursday, it was announced the intensive search of the vicinity would be scaled back, and it became considered less and less likely Cleo had wandered off herself. That came as the state government stepped up with $1 million reward for any information that could be led to find the girl. By Friday, people had been asked to be on alert for Cleo across the nation, as police could not rule out the possibility that someone may have taken her interstate. Detectives also expanded their request for CCTV footage. to specific businesses within a 1,000-kilometre radius of the campsite, excluding Perth, despite fears that Cleo may have been taken even further than that. Ali Smith and Jake Glidden remain at the campsite with police. Now, I did see a story, and I'm going to just find it, of little Cleo's friend, and I want to show that to you before we finish. So, essentially, she's disappeared without a trace. I mean, could she possibly have been swept up in the ocean? I don't know. So we know that they're looking. They've started to look at the home. I saw a picture today of one of her school friends pleading. And I can't find it. I'll have to look for it later and have it for tonight. And that actually broke my heart, actually. Oh, here we go. Let's have a look at this. This is gonna be. You need to get your tissues ready. I'm sure. I'm being one of those moods today. So read the adorable letter Cleo's friend wrote after learning she was missing, amid concerns the 4-year-old was abducted and could be anywhere. A best friend of Cleo Smith penned a heartfelt letter to the missing 4-year-old 6 days after she disappeared from her family tent at the Blowholes campsite north of Carnarvon, Western Australia. Cleo's little friends are starting to ask questions about where she is. Dear Cleo, can you please come back for a little while and come to my nan's? One letter was written by one of her friends. I miss you and I hope you are all right. The letter is accompanied with a drawing of the little friend made of the two girls, presumably she and Cleo, standing side by side with smiles on their faces. The little girl's mum, who had been actively sharing Cleo's missing persons poster and photos online to raise awareness, said her daughter was desperate to write her friend a letter. We just want you home, safe and sound, baby, the woman added. Friends and family of Cleo's mum, Ali Smith, have been pillars of support since the 4-year-old's disappearance, vouching for her character online and doing everything they can to alert the public. Miss Smith made a harrowing statement about 6:20 a.m. on Thursday morning, exactly 6 days after she discovered her eldest daughter was missing. I miss you. I love you. Please come home to me, the mother of two said. Chloe's disappearance from the family tent between 1:30 a.m. and 6 a.m. on Saturday. So there's another picture. My sweet girl, please come home to me, she captioned the photo. While time is not on our side, there have been instances in the past where even small children lost in remote areas are still being found safe and well, Acting Deputy Commissioner Darryl Gaunt said. There's been some rain that gives us hope that there's been water on the ground, those types of things, which, we all take these things on a positive. We keep searching. This one, I miss you. I love you. Please come home to me. If she was abducted, her map showing the possible roads she may have travelled suggests she could have reached as far as Tom Price in just 8 hours northeast of the camping ground. So Tom Price is here. Cleo may have also driven south with the town of Kalbarri, 5 hours away. Meekatharra, 670 kilometres southeast of the grounds, is also possibly. The Milnelia Roadhouse is about 165 kilometres north of the campsite and is the only northbound road from the blowholes and records every vehicle that passes through. Oh, the other thing about a roadhouse is that usually there's accommodation as well, so quite often you can stay in accommodation. Sunderson police are investigating CCTV taken from the roadhouse. And then here's the timeline here. So, whoa, yay. Yeah, so tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. I'd be interested in your thoughts. I wonder where she is. It always breaks my heart when when you see photos of the children's friends writing letters to say, please come back, please come to my nan's. He's very cute. So I'm gonna end it there because I'm just gonna keep crying. But If you know anything about the whereabouts of Cleo, please contact Crime Stoppers. If you're overseas and you know something about Cleo, please make contact with the Australian Federal Police or the police force. We need to find her. And just for those of you, one way that you can help is just keeping the family in your thoughts and prayers, and just raising awareness of her disappearance. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I will now pull myself together. Yay! And I will catch you later on tonight. Thank you for watching.